Hey, how are you? Jason Horowitz and CBS SportsLine senior fantasy writer Jamey Eisenberg with you on the Chase Fantasy Football Series, exclusively here on CBS SportsLine. Glad you could join us for Stardom, Sid'em, and Jamey. Thank God the buys are finally done. Let's play football with all 32 teams.
Absolutely. Thank goodness. Let's get those things out of here and never see them again.
Nothing better for fantasy users or football fans in general than getting every team on the field. There is another problem, though. Injuries are mounting up in the NFL, so backups, they're still in play here and there. More on that in a little bit. Let's start getting into your starts, and we'll start with your Stardom quarterbacks. Steve McNair going back to Tennessee with Baltimore. He's a good start by you. And John Kitna home against San Francisco. Now, Jamey, John Kitna, he's 8th among quarterbacks between Tom Brady, Rex Grossman, and he has an awesome stretch coming up to rack up some fantasy points.
You got to love John Kitna. I mean, who's been playing as good as him? You know, the Peyton Manning, Donovan McNabb, but then there's this guy from Detroit that's really just lighting things up. He's got Roy Williams, one of the best wide receivers out there. Certainly Kevin Jones is one of the best running backs. And Mike Fury, I think he's turned him into something that some people can use and count on. You know, one of the sleepers of this year is as a wide receiver. So certainly the stretch that you mentioned that's coming up, he's going to be one of those guys that you want to start for the next 3 weeks, you know, and certainly can count on some big numbers.
Yeah, out of nowhere, Mike Furry has been a top 25 wide receiver all across the board. So out of nowhere, and that is because of John Kitna and that Mike Martz offense. All right, how about the Sid'em quarterbacks? You know, we're going north to Minnesota, and so is Brett Favre. And I know New England and Tom Brady lit up the Vikings secondary. Brett Favre has struggled of late at Minnesota, so he is not necessarily the best start by you. And Vince Young, well, he's playing the Baltimore defense, so there's your answer there. How about the Stardom running backs? Jamey says Joseph Addai at home against Buffalo and Warwick Dunn. Those two are must starts. Warwick Dunn is at Cleveland. He is home against Cleveland. Jamey, let's talk about Joseph Addai. He's been up and down a little bit. Buffalo's middle of the road pass defense, middle of the road rush defense. Why Joseph Addai this week?
I just see Joseph Addai doing, you know, something similar to what Amon Green did last week against Buffalo, which has put up a lot of numbers. Certainly that offense is really going up and down the field, and this is a situation where you know that Peyton Manning's going to be able to throw. Addai can get in and get maybe a cheap touchdown early on, and then certainly can put the game away running the ball, maybe Dominic Rhodes as well, but I like Addai this week because he's getting a lot of the carries there in Indianapolis.
Rhodes may be a good start in a flex position. Addai is a number 2 running back. All right, how about the Sid'em running backs? And we're going back to that Baltimore-Tennessee game, this time on the Tennessee side. Travis Henry going up against that Baltimore defense, number 1 rush defense in the NFL. That's why you sit Travis Henry. And you have Deuce McAllister sitting at Pittsburgh. Jamey, let's discuss this. Reggie Bush, Deuce McAllister, this New Orleans offense scoring a lot of points. Why sit McAllister when he may get a cheap touchdown here or there at Pittsburgh?
You got two teams that are going in the exact opposite different direction. The Saints have been playing great. However, the one thing Pittsburgh really does well is defend the run. They've gone 19 straight games without allowing a 100-yard rusher. Deuce McAllister is certainly going to be a guy that's going to get, you know, run into those fronts. Troy Polamalu coming up from the secondary, and he's really not going to be able to do much. Reggie Bush, the same situation. You probably want to stay away from both those guys and look for the Pittsburgh defense to really have a good game defensively as they're trying to win some games and get back in the hunt.
Well, Pittsburgh shut down Mike Bell last week of Denver, trying to do the same with Deuce McAllister. All right, how about the Stardom wide receivers? Seattle, Deion Branch home against St. Louis. Seneca Wallace is proving he can throw the football, and he likes Deion Branch. He scored against Oakland. Look for him to do the same thing against St. Louis, who is giving up a ton of yards. And Marcus Colston, we're not sitting him the rest of the season. You know, people are putting up yards against Pittsburgh. Atlanta did it. Denver did it. Marcus Colston will do it as well. So that's another start by Jamey. How about the Sid'em wide receivers? You know, we talked about this in roster trends. Chad Johnson against San Diego. Eddie Kinnison at Miami. Jamey, let's talk about Chad Johnson here because he has said he wants the ball more. He is demanding the football more. You don't expect him to have a big week?
He hasn't had that big week yet, and just, you know, the San Diego defense has certainly been great, and Chad Johnson has just really not become the go-to guy this year. I mean, it's been T.J. Houshmandzadeh has been the one that's, you know, getting the majority of attention, and then Chris Henry is also stealing some of Chad Johnson's, you know, the spotlight. So, you know, it could be one of those games where he comes out and has a big game, but, you know, look at the past few weeks, and it's hard to trust a guy that hasn't just been putting up those huge numbers.
All right, one more question. This goes defensively here. The Giants are going to be playing without Michael Strahan. OCU Manura, he is questionable. The question here is, the Giants have been a good play of late, getting a lot of sacks, causing turnovers against the Bears, who are turnover-prone right now. Are the Giants a good play without those two guys?
I think they are. I mean, you know, they're missing a lot of guys defensively. You know, LeVar Arrington is another one who hasn't been there for the Giants, but the Bears, they do. You know, Rex Grossman, it's hard to figure the way he's been playing. On the road, he's been a different story than what he's been at home. And coming off that game against Miami, his confidence is a little shaken. You know I'm a Gator, so I love Rex Grossman, but this is not the week you want to trust Rex.
Well, it's a battle for the NFC. It should be a good one. Hopefully it won't be turnover prone. We'll see some good football. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the best bets heading into Week 10 here on the Chase Fantasy Football Series. But Jamey's got plenty more. To find out who else to start and sit, be sure to read all of his articles as well as Dave Richard heading into the weekend only on CBS SportsLine. For Jamey Eisenberg, I'm Jason Horowitz. Good luck in Week 10. Take care.